It may be full of bugs, but this is probably one of the best patches in quite some time. What's up, dudes and dudes of the internet? My name's Scythe, and we are back again for another Trove Patch Notes. How y'all doing today, folks? Hope you're doing fantastically wonderful. Hope this video makes your day even better. Before we get started, please hit that like button for me. It would help me out very, very much. We're going to be giving away information rather than giving out mounts and stuff like that, so your support is very much appreciated. Now, there's a lot of things that this patch didn't really explain properly, and there's also a lot of things that the patch didn't seem to include. So I'm actually recording this only a couple hours before it goes up, just so that I could end up like I messed around with the patch, tried to get like all the info on all the new things and all the bugs and everything like that. But without further ado, the patch is called The Mighty Jungle. It's terrible. All right, the Jurassic Jungle biome is now live. It has new decoration recipes, so like new recipe prop items and stuff like that, new styles and new enemies. It will start showing up randomly in Prime Adventure Worlds only, which means that the majority of us, unfortunately, aren't even going to be able to see it. I really hope that they end up like putting it into the water world or something like that, because as it stands right now, I mean, the end game is grinding gem dust. Can't grind gem dust in a normal Uber world. I mean, I guess you can, but not really. And hopefully if they end up ever making it so that there is just one type of shadow key for shadow towers, I mean, we're never going to grind U9 Dino World. It's a beautiful biome, don't get me wrong, but there's only like 5 dungeons in it right now anyway. The Dino Tamer is also now live, so you can get it through the prehistoric pack. You can unlock the class itself, just bought on its own. And you can also finally get it for an in-game class coin. So let's take a peek. Class coin. So for 140k, you could have the new class, which that's a pretty good deal, I would say so. And then for the weekly updates, the rare contents of the Chaos Chest have been shuffled and now include the Skulking Skitterling mount, which is, of course, the pink Skulking... Oh, it's not the pink one, it's the red one. Okay, so normally the way that you actually get this, I guess rip Defiance, right, Trove devs? But normally you have to go on Defiance, which is another Trine Worlds game, and complete like a bunch of very tedious tasks in order to actually get this mount in Trove. Now you don't. Now you can just buy it from, or get it from a Chaos Chest, or probably just buy it on the player market. Okay, do you like ore? Okay, well anyways, there's double ore is going on right now throughout the entire week, and throughout like, if you were fortunate enough to grind it on Tuesday, you would have had double ore times 2. It's not stacking on top of, so it's not like 100% multiplied by double that. It's just another 100%. And very, very soon they're gonna be doing just an entire bonus week, very similar to the 1-year anniversary of Trove. I guess rip that anniversary as well, right? But it's gonna have every single weekly event going on at the same time. And each individual day is then going to hopefully end up doing another bonus? No, I guess it wouldn't. So either way, that would mean that you could be grinding gem boxes every day and grinding experience every day, because those are, of course, the most important ones. Then there's the multi-threading beta. Now, I do have a video tutorial about this that I put up recently, talking about how you actually get multi-threading by using the Trove config file and turning it to true and stuff like that. One thing I do want to mention that I didn't mention in that video is some people have said that they actually don't have the line multi-threading in their config file. You can just add that text yourself to the exact same spot that you see in the tutorial, which I'll put like a card in the top right hand corner, and also a link in the description. But you can just add the text yourself to the config file. You just gotta make sure that it's in the right placement. But anyways, what this is pretty much going to do is make your Trove performance increase like crazy, you know? Granted, we're probably not going to end up seeing it ourselves, and it does make the game a lot buggier. Like it's very messed up, you know. It's not really implemented properly right now. And there's also this weird thing going on. You probably don't see it in the recording, but I'm noticing a lot of, like, it's very choppy whenever you try to move the camera around and stuff like that, especially in really crowded places, which I find very strange. And I know that it's an issue on their end because, I mean, my computer apparently has like 12 million cores, so I should be running this game perfectly fine. I don't think Trove is taking full advantage of our computers just yet, but it says that it's the beta, so hopefully they'll iron out the kinks sometime soon. They also put a link where they want feedback on all of that stuff. Additional updates. Class coins unlocked via the Refer a Friend program can no longer be loot collected. Okay, they could have. Dino Tamer pets are beefier. Now, while this is true for the Scissorhands and the pterodactyl creature thing, ironically, the Triceratops, which is supposed to be the tank, he gets 1 shot by everything, while the other 2 get 3 shot by everything. Wow, really beefy, right? The Clever Snare now can crit. It can actually do crit damage because normally it actually couldn't. Near as I can tell too, it actually is affected by your crit hit too. So it actually made the Dino Tamer extremely powerful. But we'll talk about that kind of in a bit because that's kind of an extra patch notes thing. But the Dino Tamer, when in the battle arena, his ultimate will no longer increase his movement speed. That's great because otherwise he was too cheaty. Remove the increased damage debuff applied to targets under the effect of the Clever Snare. See, most people won't know what that means, but the biggest reason that all the purple names and all the people that are hardcore at this game, but pretty much an enemy that would end up getting tagged by the Dino Tamer's net would end up having a damage debuff on them, or a damage buff, I guess I would say, where that enemy would take 20% more damage from everybody around. So they've removed that and rebalanced it by adding crit damage to the net. And let me tell you, after testing it and stuff like that, it's really, really good. I'm very, very happy about it. I hope that they're not doing what they usually do. This is just a heads up, folks, but because the Dino Tamer is now available for everybody for free, because you can get in-game without spending a cent, usually what they'll end up doing is they make a class extremely overpowered and then they end up nerfing it after a couple weeks because an overpowered class gets more sales, right? At least that's the idea. And as it stands right now, the Dino Tamer might actually be one of the strongest classes for U9 grinding, or at the least, he's right up there with the Gunslinger, because despite the fact that everyone always says that the Neon Ninja is the strongest, and he does have the biggest hit for sure, especially in Shadow Towers, the Gunslinger is definitely the strongest in the game as far as adventure worlds are concerned, because you can cast your ult all the time, and now the Dino Tamer can actually keep up, which I'm very happy about that, because I made a video recently comparing the Dino Tamer, very similar stats to my Shadow Hunter, and he barely kept up at all. Now he actually keeps up, so I'm very excited about that because now it's like I have a secondary class that is actually viable, Damage coefficient for the Clever Snare, just the net in general, the damage has been reduced to compensate for the crit damage. Increased the number of items on the marketplace drop downs. I don't know what that means. Updated a lot of the UI to better accommodate longer localized strings. Oh, you mean added a bunch of poop? Like, I really don't understand that. In seriousness, there's been a couple additions to the UI and stuff like that. Signs have been updated to no longer include HTML code. It wasn't hurting anybody, but they removed it anyway, so I ended up putting a tutorial out recently that was kind of showing you how you actually get colored text and special fonts and stuff like that on these signs. Apparently that was never intentional, so they ended up removing it, and now we have to go through the club and kind of get rid of all this extra HTML code, which is disappointing because really, it wasn't hurting anybody. Of course, if you made the font too big, it could crash the game, but what doesn't crash the game, right? The loot collector now no longer accepts additional loot once the components collected section is full. Now, this confuses a lot of people, but pretty much I'll try and explain it as best as I can. So, place loot here. You can have 24 different items down here, right? Let's say that you have 24 very different items that give more resources back than the items themselves. So if you would have over 24 items in the components collected section, let's say you had 25, that 25th item would actually just get deleted. So that's what they ended up changing now, where the components collected only goes up to 24, or maybe it's a different number, but I'm just using it as an example, right? Then they also, all categories in the settings menu now prompt you to save unsaved changes when switching to new categories. Don't touch the menus right now, folks. Hopefully they'll end up hot fixing it. If you try to change any of your video settings, it's gonna crash your game. Dragging from personal chest to the marketplace interface is now supported. I thought that was already supported, but I guess they ended up actually putting it in this week's patch. Shadow towers will now be spawned in their owner's region, meaning that sometimes you know when you would go into a shadow tower and it would take like 50 years to load the next world? That's because if you're a European player, it was loading a North American server, so that you were actually taking a lot longer to load because of the ping issues and stuff, right? So they've ironed that out apparently, and hopefully that is fixed. Additional logging to keep track down rubber banding issues. Oh, to help track down rubber banding issues. Good, because there was actually a lot of rubber banding just the other day, which was insane. Granted, there was probably just a lot of people on, right? By the way, ignore all these shadow items. They're just a bunch of shadow 2s and junk. It's nothing special. I gotta forge them up. Bug fixes. Updated the Dragon Coin description to refer to the correct store tab. All right. Fixed a bug where zoning while mounted could crash you. Okay. Fixed a bug where escape couldn't close the club menu. I'm really happy about that one because that was becoming a really big thing. Now, one thing that I find is really strange is if you go into the club menu right here, we'll talk about that 0 out of 0 in a minute, but if we press escape from this menu, it brings you to the main club menu and then ends up closing. I don't know if that's intentional though. Maybe it is, I don't know. Fixed a bug where the pirate captain's turret disappeared but continued to fire after 10 seconds, even though you picked up doubloons. All right. Fixed a marketplace bug where no results appeared when item type was set to blocks, building, crafting, decoration, or items. I don't even know what that means, but okay. Fixed a disconnect issue related to trading. Fixed a disconnect issue related to NPCs destroying plants grown from seeds. Fixed a bug where the initial rotation of projectiles was slightly inaccurate. I can only assume that they mean the tri-shot for the Dino Tamer, but I haven't really checked out the PTS because the Dino Tamer's other class gem ability, although that's not the class gem ability of the Dino Tamer right now, that is #confirmed Gambi coming into the game. That's why I never scrapped that video, because it is going to come into the game as his secondary gem. Then they also fixed a bug where the navigations menu disallowed clicks to happen outside of it. Fixed an issue where sometimes icons wouldn't show up in the trade window. Fixed an issue where particle collisions could create a feedback loop and travel relativistic speeds. That's my new favorite word because it's probably the dumbest word I've ever heard. Relativistic. I understand its definition. It's just, I've never seen anybody actually try to apply it to a sentence. Is it even a word? But anyways, I'm assuming that means they're trying to sound smart. I'm pretty sure that it just means the acid spit of the ultimate of the Dino Tamer. I haven't seen it all messed up and all gross and weird looking. Now, there's a whole bunch of extra things that they didn't actually include in the patch notes, so I'm excited about this. So as far as the Dino Tamer is concerned, you can now turn off his ultimate by pressing the ultimate button again. So we cast our ultimate, we're in our dino form, and similar to the Revenant, if we cast it again, bloop, you get off of it. So that's fantastic. It means that the Dino Tamer finally can work for grinding. Like seriously, I'm very, very happy about that. And then, like I said, the Triceratops allies' health is actually weaker than the others right now. So hopefully they'll end up ironing that out. But in general, even though they ended up making the Dino allies beefier, they're still absolutely useless compared to all of the Dino Tamer's attacks, which is just fine. It's disappointing, but the amount of cast time that you have throwing down the babies and stuff like that, I really don't see them ironing that out. If they would, that would be fantastic. But I think the devs are really underestimating how quickly all the classes can clear dungeons in U9 and even in Ultra Towers, that they would have to buff the dino babies like crazy if they wanted them to actually end up being viable. Then there is just changes in general. Lots of people may already have the recipes or styles related to the Jurassic biome. You might already have those unlocked. It's just a bug that just ended up happening. I don't know. Then there is a new resource in the dino biome. Let me see if I can actually track one of these down while I'm mentioning the rest of the patch here. But there's a new resource that is required to craft any of the Dino Jurassic recipes, right? Like any of the prop items are gonna cost this resource. It's a meteorite piece or something like that. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, rip me, I'm gonna try and go find a biome. Well, that took like 50 years to find. Anyways, this is what the biome looks like on the map. big old dinosaur footprint. That's really, really cool. Explore the biome for yourself, though, folks. It's actually really, really awesome. It's got T-Rex enemies, which unfortunately are very buggy right now and don't end up dropping any items. Sometimes they can, but most of the time they don't. Now, this is the new resource right here, and you can only find it on the top of these canopies. And thankfully, whenever you destroy it, it's not a resource like ore or anything. It's kind of the same as any of the bushes, but the thing that's nice about them is the amount that you actually get from the bush itself is varying. So it's pretty cool because there's also another dungeon in the biome that ends up kind of looking like a giant meteor and stuff like that. You might not have noticed anything either, but we are actually playing with the multi-thread right now, and although it's probably not going to make any difference in the recording, I'm noticing in general that it's very, very sticky right now, and generally speaking, I would prefer lower frame rate consistently than having something sticky and weird like this, you know? But anyways, the biome itself as well, I haven't seen in the Dragon Challenge. I'm sure it probably can show up, which would be pretty cool. And one thing as well is that this biome is fantastic as far as adventure world grinding is concerned, because there are so many dungeons that generate in this biome. It's absolutely insane. I don't know if that's going to end up being faster than Shadow Tower. Maybe it will be. I don't know. But then again, Shadow Tower grinding completely depends on how fast you can actually kill, right? Then there is UI changes. So there is, let me actually hop out of this world because I don't think there's anything else that we need in there. But there's actually been a UI change to the crafting menu. Let me see down here. Mostly when you're like crafting certain items and junk like that, I think it applies to, yeah. So even when you see bombs right here, you can actually see that the text is green for the resource that you have, so long as it is greater than the resource that's actually required, right? So that's a nice little touch up. I think that's good. Then there is also credits shown for various items, including, like you see right here, the Lut Cats actually has a credit icon instead of saying buy. So I don't know why, it just does because it's cleaner. But by the way, as well, lots of people have been noticing, I'm actually surprised that I haven't gotten it, but crystals, like usually your gems, will actually be invisible if you're using multi-thread. So I don't know why they're there for me. It's weird. Oh, this is a huge one. I'm so happy about this. So you remember that dumb thing they had where if you were deep underground and had X amount of blocks on top of you, the more blocks that you had, the more faded your map was gonna be? They removed that. Thank you, devs! Seriously, nobody liked that. It was absolutely stupid. It's fantastic that they ended up getting rid of it because I don't know what idea that was. That was just ridiculous. And here's another thing too. Remember once upon a time, maybe if you're just tuning into the series, you don't know, but you used to be able to dodge out of your wings. Apparently that was a bug, so they ended up fixing it, and then they ended up re-adding it right now where we can purposefully roll while we're flying. That's fantastic. That is great because a lot of times, like, it might not seem like much of a difference, but it does actually increase the grinding efficiency, you know, if we're gonna dork it up, right? Club signs no longer have colors in HTML. Yeah. The collections menu now has a drop-down function for the show all, hide collected and hide uncollected, instead of just having the little check boxes, which overall I think that's a little bit better, you know. Then for some weird reason, normally you would type /say or /s, I think would work. I never really used it that much, but that would go to the say chat, right? And what that is, as far as I remember, is it's a 35 block radius from your character to anybody that's nearby, rather than talking in the whole world and stuff like that, right? So now that actually is defaulted to /3. Yeah, and for some strange reason, it also will actually say your username, and then in the chat, it will say your username says, and then put whatever you said in quotes. Okay, devs. There's lots of crashing just in general, but I'm sure you already know about that. The club menu also, if you go to it real quick, you're gonna see that it says 0 out of 0 for the clubs. We're not getting that right now. In general, the amount of players is just very buggy and messed up. Usually if you stay on the menu for a little while, it will eventually sort itself out though. But like you saw right there, it was showing the members in Team Pixel 5, and then it updated real time to show us the members in Team Pixel. And in general, there's also a lot of bugs relating to clubs. There's crashes when changing your options. Multi-core increases performance but has the glitchy camera. Multi-core hides some icons like gems, and also there's just various VFX that are just missing from certain things as well. You know the stellar sun and moon aura that has the sun and moon kind of rotating around you? The sun icon is gone, but the glow from the sun is still there, so okay. In general too, there's also any biomes prior to the patch that were set to nobody building is just and there's no icon for it anymore. It's weird. And also, I don't know if this is on purpose or if it's a bug, but it seems like they incorporated a new feature with the clubs without telling anybody, where currently only the leader can change building privileges in a biome, and if anybody else tries to change the biome privileges, it's actually going to say you need specific terraform permission for this area. Now, that kind of hints to me that there's a new command, hopefully, where you could set each different biome and give each different player permission for a specific biome, which would be fantastic. No promises. I'm just saying that something ended up messing up, and we got a sneak peek at something that's not in game yet. Then there is also, lots of broken VFX, and that's pretty much it, everybody. So besides the patch being absolutely broken in general, I really like it. I think it's a great patch. So long as they end up ironing out all of the kinks and bugs with this one before 2 weeks later, then right on, I'm all for it. Either way, thanks so much for watching, everybody. I know this was a longer video, but there was a lot to actually cover in this patch. The devs did mention, this is kind of just something on the side if you didn't catch the last Trove episode, but the devs did mention that they are going to talk about diamond gem shards in this week's stream on Friday. So hopefully they actually will, rather than backing down about that, just because I'm very curious to see where you end up getting them. We all know that they were coming eventually, but apparently they're supposed to be something that you're going to be able to grind. And then just in general, there's all sorts of other special things going on behind the scenes that I have ideas about, but I don't want to get your hopes up with some speculations. Thanks so much for watching, though, everybody. Sayonara and stay epic.